have a little game that we use to start the conversation about education for sustainability. And it's been very useful to watch people. It's a little fish game, and it's a simulation, and we ask people to, 5 or 6 people around a table, and the table becomes the ocean. And the object of each game is to have as many fish as possible by the end of 10 rounds. And so oftentimes people will say to me, well, for who? For me, for the group, or in the ocean? And of course, if they ask me that question, I know that they don't understand systems and interdependence, because they think those things are mutually exclusive from one another. And the fact is, you can't thrive indefinitely if any one of those, the individual, the group, or the living systems, are in trouble. But people don't understand that. And so I started to pay attention to why people do things that ultimately result in a system decline, or in a destructive result. So one of the things that happens oftentimes is that people will say, because what happens in the game is that people go fishing and then they keep running out of fish, and again and again and again and again. And so you have to ask yourself why. So if they ran out of fish before they could reach 10 rounds, then the number of fisher folk fishing the way they did resulted in more fish being taken out faster than the replenishment rate. And everybody agrees that that's what happened, but why do they keep doing it? And this is a little simulation, simple little game, but they keep doing it. And so I just started asking why. What was driving your behavior? What was the thinking that seemed to make sense at the time, but then over time resulted in system decline? And so I started keeping track of their answers, and after tens of thousands of times playing this game with people all over the world, I have some classic mental models of unsustainability. One of them we call the Titanic syndrome, and it's an assumption of scarcity. And so if you don't think there's enough to go around, then people's natural reaction is to get while the getting's good. We call it the Titanic because if you're going down anyway, you might as well go first class. And of course that then contributes to the very situation they're afraid of, scarcity. We have the bummer. Things are the way they are and there's nothing we can do about it. And of course that drives unsustainable behavior. People think that they want to win, and their only image of a game and winning is a zero-sum game in which there are only winners and losers. And of course in a game of interdependence, we call that a non-zero-sum game, where in order for anybody to win, everybody has to win because the players are interdependent on each other. It's a math concept. We have the control freak. I'm in control and that's it. And of course there's no such thing as control in a complex system, so that's flawed to begin with. We have the everything is substitutable. People who think, if we run out of salmon, no problem, we'll just go out after a different kind of fish, or if we run out of this kind of food, we can switch over. And of course, everything in the ecosystem has a unique role, a unique niche, and things are not substitutable. Only on TV, but not in the real world. So there are definitely some ways of thinking, maximizing gains for self without understanding that the individual self and the group are interdependent on one another. A lot of interesting ways of thinking that have evolved over time, but that ultimately result in an unsustainable situation. So that's been fascinating to track over time. And of course, the alternative are we're all in this together, and we're living in community, and we can help each other to the kind of future we want. There are a lot of mental models of sustainability that work better if that's your goal. So we always recommend starting with a conversation about where you want to take your school, and the relationship between education in a community and the community itself. And so we usually start by bringing a leadership team together so that we can talk about what kind of future they want and how we can help. Then we would make a plan, and it's not instant orange juice, so we're talking 3 to 5 years. It could take longer if nobody talks to one another in the building and nobody writes anything down. But generally speaking, in 3 to 5 years, people are really, really moving in a very, very good direction in terms of the kinds of outcomes they're getting from students. So that's how it works. People call, they're interested, they read everything that we've got, they look at the standards and they look at the enduring understandings, and if it makes sense to them, then we start working together.